it's good to understand, the core concepts of why things are the way they are, but the executives don't care. They just want to, okay, is that going to work? Yes, great. That's the end of the conversation.
Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer.
This is the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey. Here we have authentic conversations around engineering and personal development to allow for freedom of thought and expression. This creates an environment for growth, filling in what we believe to be the skills gaps present for engineering professionals. Ultimately, we want people to have fulfilled careers and be inspired to become the best versions of themselves. Today, I have a quick topic that every engineer will run into during their career. When you are in a presentation or sending high-level reports to executives or upper management, you need to be direct, concise, and only touch on the what and when of the topic, only keeping the why in case you are asked questions.
That's awesome. That's it. That's the show. Steve, why? Why, Steve?
Yeah, hey, thanks for asking, Jake. It's because that's what they need to know to make any high-level decisions quickly. They need to process that limited information to make quick decisions. So if you barrage them with details, it will cause frustration and add confusion to the discussion. If they need any more information, they will ask, but their time is limited.
It makes sense. I mean, having contextual conversations around things, of course, helps you to understand the content better. So in a learning environment, sure. But most of the time, when you're presenting something like you're talking about, and I think we give some concrete examples here in a minute, but people want to just know what was the action, what was the result of that action, probably how much time did it take, or what did it cost us, and what's the benefit?
Yeah,
what happened? High level. And then if they want to know more, be prepared to talk about the more, but don't have this, even in your slideshow or something, whatever you're doing, don't have this uber complicated, super detailed thing unless you've addressed the what's, the when's, and the result, right? The whys can come through conversation. So
yeah, and
I think that's where you're going, Steve, and I agree, like, completely. I learned it the hard way.
I think we all did.
I am, yeah. If you can't tell, like in all of our episodes, and people that know me, I tend to over-explain stuff like I'm doing right now, and it gets you in trouble sometimes and doesn't convey the true meaning behind what you're trying to say. So.
Yeah, and for any of the even students listening, really the first time that someone who's becoming an engineer will run into this is during their senior project presentation, right? Their capstone project, or the different universities call it different things. You go up there, you execute your presentation, but you have a stack of notes ready to go to answer, whoever you're presenting to, questions that break down the actual detailed engineering information. So that's like the first time you'll run into it, but that's kind of a catered version. But when you're doing presentations, like a monthly review of all projects to executives, or you just need to send a one-page slide weekly update to upper management, all they want to know is just the high-level details. This is what happened, and it caused a delay. It's ahead of schedule or it's behind. And if they really need to understand more of the why, they will ask, and then that's when you can reinforce it, like, well, we had this failure and blah blah blah, and just go into all the nitty-gritty of the work. So that's something I see a lot of engineers struggling with.
Yeah, and it's probably, if it's not holding you back as far as your progress, moving into a new position, getting your point across, or trying to implement something that you really want to implement that you see as has value. If it's not keeping you from doing that, it's keeping you from actually conveying the thing that you really need to convey to the executive that helps them make their decision for their everyday job. So there's two things there. There's just doing the job and getting the information to the person that needs it in an everyday setting, and it's the normal operation of the business. And then there's, you could be trying to push something, or you could be trying to convince someone of doing something. If you go in and just start blabbing about how you feel about it, whys, and bringing all this context, they're going to get lost really quick, and they're already thinking about the next meeting they got to go to. So this will help that as well, you know. So
Yep, and everyone hates meetings because it takes away from the work. So this is a good way to truncate those meetings. Is just be super concise about it. Go in there and give them the details that's needed. If they want more, you can give more, but otherwise move on and get back to work.
So where do you think the need to overshare and focus on the, I wouldn't say the wrong things, it's just, why are people focusing on the things that don't convey the message the way that executives want the message to be conveyed? Why does that happen?
It's
Where does
usually
it come from?
because engineers are very risk averse, and they're in the mindset of finding root cause analysis and all that kind of stuff, and so they want to have every detail of why something is rather than just talking about the is.
Mm,
It's just kind of a normal trait of engineering, right? You're taught in school to understand the proof of the equation, not just, hey, this equation works, here's the answer. You got to go in and go, oh, I this equation was constructed from these 8 equations that were combined and compiled over here, and then they related over this thing over this direction, and that's because the law of relativity and blah 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 and go all over the freaking place. And it's good to understand the core concepts of why things are the way they are, but the executives don't care. They just want to, okay, is that going to work? Yes, great. That's the end of the conversation. Um, is it going to delay the project, or is it going to, hey, if we do this other thing over here, we can save 2 weeks? Great, do that. So I think that's where that disconnect between engineers and people who have to make those key decisions is that as engineers, we always want to know all of the why and make sure that we're 100% that is the right answer. But over here, we just need to get this product launch. We just need to get this project to the customer. Et cetera, et cetera. We need to move the business along. And so that communication needs to be concise from the engineers to the executives to make those decisions for the business. But sometimes the executives, when they see a high risk decision, they will be like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more of why this is the path that you chose for this project? Then you can go into, okay, now I'm going to go this top 20% of the why, higher level, keep it high level first. And if they want to dig deeper, then you can go deeper. But you need to be as concise as possible in every answer that you give the key decision makers.
nice.
Hey everyone. If this discussion brings up additional questions to the forefront of your mind, I encourage you to head over to impactfulengineer.com and sign up for a newsletter with your question. We may answer your inquiry directly on the podcast or even ask our guests to get their insight. If you're just enjoying the episode and want to make sure you never miss additional impactful content, you can still sign up for the newsletter without a question. And as always, you can reach out and follow us on LinkedIn under The Impactful Engineer.
What's going through my head right now is that sometimes I'm a little adverse to being wrong, or I want to cover all scenarios before the scenario plays out. And that's something that I've had to overcome. And I'm struggling with it even to this day. But I'm getting better and better because I see it playing out and how it affects my ability to influence and to create a positive change I'm not quite at a place where I'm giving high level summaries of the performance of the company, how much we sold, what our backlog is, what our revenue for this month is. Are we growing? Are we contracting? I'm not doing that kind of stuff, but it completely applies to trying to influence some change and be a positive force for improvement. And I will try to over explain, uh, give all this contextual thoughts and beliefs behind why I think this intangible thing that I want someone to embrace with me is so important, and I lose them. Like I'm kind of losing probably people now, right? So it's allowed me to realize that I need to shorten it up, prove it, just do, and report on results,
Yeah.
right? And this is the direction. This is what I want to do, and I'll let you know the results here as soon as they
Yeah.
come.
Or even do it and show the results. Right.
Right.
But I think a good way to look at it, just in like a broad high level sense, is that's why there's appendices, right? Is it? I don't even know
Sure.
the right word
Yeah.
there, because engineer, not a person who does it.
That's
Words.
sure. The land of go here if you want to learn
Exactly.
more and
Yeah,
spend an hour on
it's at
this.
the end of every textbook, right? It's big reports. You have a section at the end that is like, here's all the information if you want to look at it. But the
Mm,
first half of the book is, this is the what and when and the result. So it's common on textbooks. Why isn't it common just in conversation? So there's, I think that's where that huge disconnect is.
great. And in the spirit of that, do you want to give a concrete example, and then we can wrap this one up?
Concrete example. Just trying to think of. I'll just do a hypothetical, I guess. I'm working on a project, and I'm in an executive summary of projects. Right? So I'm working on a ton of projects. And I just go. Project A is at the testing phase, and our deliverable date is this. We are on track to meet that. Project 2 is in the early R&D phase. We have 3 concepts that we're working on right now. We will decide present the primary one on this date. Concepts, the last project that we're working on is in production. We are seeing a delay from the vendor. We have a 2-week delay currently. That's
Nice.
it.
What do you not add? That's great. That you covered 3 projects, where they're at, what's going to happen, any delays. That's it.
Yeah.
What would you not add to that?
I would not
Give us an
say,
example.
oh, the vendor had a CNC machine fire because, there's a tornado 3 weeks ago that came through and wiped it out. And, and then half of their workforce had to go back to their homes to rebuild their houses. And that's really why there's a delay. Who cares?
In this context, in this report, who cares?
Yes. I mean, yeah, sure. You care about those families and blah, blah, blah. But in the
Yes.
context of the report, that is not important for this discussion.
Right. And that's it's a perfect example, because I think people are not going to run into that scenario all the time, but they're going to run into stuff like that a lot. I always do on on projects. There's always a push and pull and a delay and reasons for things, and in the engineering world, you're always reprioritizing, and you're very adaptive and realigning and stuff, but you don't got to bring all that to your reporting to a high level executive that just needs to know the most important details.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I actually have a real world example, and I'll leave out some details, but project A has a delay in the design work because we ran into a couple challenges. So we are expecting a 2-week delay. That's how you do the report. You don't say, hey, we couldn't figure out this one mechanism because we didn't account for the coefficient of friction on this mechanism. As it rotates, it causes a binding, and blah blah blah, and this force and whatever. They don't care. So you just say, had this challenge in the design, it's causing us a 2-week delay. The end.
Beautiful.
Hey guys, I hope you had a great time listening. Maybe you learned something new, maybe you got inspired, or at least took one thing away that you'd be able to use. Maybe you just had a good laugh. Impactful Engineering's hope and mission is that through this podcast, we can play a small part in expanding the reach and awareness of engineering and all of its many areas of application. The multiple engineering career paths available can be hugely rewarding as part of a fulfilled life, creating opportunity to impact nearly everyone in the modern world. An engineer's work helps to foster creation of new technologies, create safe and comfortable environments in which people can work, and lends to the sustainable future of everyone on the planet. The world needs more impactful engineers. Our vision is to provide engineers with the perspective and the tools to allow themselves the opportunity to become the most impactful engineers they can be. Included in our vision is to grow the impactful engineering community to a point where we can provide full ride scholarships to students in every single U.S. state every single year. This is an enormous goal, and with your help, we can get there. To start, we will continue to execute this mission in the way that we know how, having conversations, telling stories, and talking about what we find interesting and are passionate about. If the episode made you think, made you object, made you think you could possibly be doing something more with your day, or brought about an idea that you could spend more time on developing further, please share the show or recommend it to your friends. Even if you didn't personally think it was a huge help, there may be someone that you know that could benefit from it, and that's all we can ask for. Until next time on the Impactful Engineer Podcast.